আপনারা দেখছেন ILFL Soccer Night.
And welcome back to the second segment of ILFL Soccer Night. I have to start by apologising. Due to technical difficulties, our Veterans games, which were filmed on Thursday, first night of the Veterans, we are not able to show today. Hopefully we'll have them at another point in time, so do stay with us. What I will do is talk about the results and talk about some of the teams that we've got an awful lot to talk about because it just kicked off. Let me finish off the second division and the first division. So I'm going to take you guys straight over to the screen because we had the second division. So there's the second division results. Al Mizan beat St Catherine's 4-1. Riverside beat Redcoat 5-1, a very important result, so we'll talk about that. And Tower Hamlets beat West End 2-0. And if I take you over to the second division table, you can see it there up on the screen again. So the top two, Robin Hood Tigers and Beaumont, didn't play. So Redcoat, had they not lost the game against Riverside, they could have made ground. Unfortunately, it seems like Riverside got their second victory of the season. So that table, I mean, Rash, I just want to quickly talk about second division because obviously the top two not being in action, but all the others took place. But Redcoat, an opportunity missed because that would have put them top of the table. Am I right?
That's an opportunity missed, and I think Shuwal and Redcoat would be very, very disappointed because I know they had the confidence and they thought that's a 3 point they should have taken. Riverside have been quite disappointing considering how well they played in summer, but looks like they came together and that was another shock result. So Redcoat lost a big opportunity to gain 3 points to go on top of the league.
No, just want to talk again on the second division. So St Catherine's under 21. It wasn't huge figures, but still wasn't a great result. 4-1 they lost against Al Mizan.
It wasn't a great result, but there's definitely some improvement from St Catherine under 21 team, and I'll explain why. Usually, when a new team goes in the first half, they kind of manage to hold on for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then when the first goals start to go in, and then the second half they really get hammered. But after some of the changes that we've made, it was slightly different because we already considered 3 goals in the first half, and on the second half we scored 1 and we considered another. So the second half we actually did slightly better than the first half. So it just shows that some of the changes that we made, it's showing some signs of improvement, but there's still a long way to go. So
you lose the first half, draw the second half, an improvement if anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you look at it that way, it's the first half that actually makes or breaks everything. And if you lose the first half, and if a team that hasn't got that passion and the will to go and win, they completely lose you in the second half, and that's when all the goals start to come in every few minutes. And at the end of the day, it looks quite ridiculous, but it shows that the team were willing to fight it, and on the second half they proved that. So I'm quite proud of the team.
I mean, just to let everyone know, I mean, this coming Sunday there is only one second division game. It's because we're going to focus on the Interleague Championship, which we'll talk in the final segment, but that is Robin Hood versus Beaumont Youth. Now, Rash, big game, top two. What do you think? Robin Hood, can they crawl away and take this title, or will Beaumont Youth take it off them?
I would say Robin Hood will feel the pressure. They're at the top. They have to lose. Beaumont Youth, I've told them on many occasions, play your best football, get to learn the system, get familiar with the league itself. Anything above that is a bonus. So they're going to try and enjoy it, especially with the win beating Land Tigers. I think the motivation will be there, the desire will be there, the confidence will be there. So I expect a good game, and let's see what happens on Sunday.
Even the Robin Hood are out for revenge from the last loss. We could go on all day. You know what? Let's get that. Okay, second division. There you have it, guys. So keep an eye out for that big game on Sunday. I'm going to take you over to the screen for the first division results, and you see there, Reach Out beat Burdett 6-0. SCTA losing their 100% record, drew 1-1 with Bromley Juniors, and Stepney B beat Weavers 4-2. Before I comment to Stepney, just to quickly cover on them then. Reach Out, as expected.
That's no surprise. I think that was written before the game started. But the SCTA, you have to mention, Bromley Juniors had a change of management. Pavis Bai took over in December. As soon as he took over, they won 2 and now drawn. That's 7 points out of 9. And to draw with the CTA, with a team with 100% record, beating everyone on the way, I think, and Bromley Juniors with new management, I think Pavis Bai has installed some motivation or some desire or some good quality in football, because that's a massive result, and credit should go to Pavis Bai.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's have a look at the league table as it stands. So SCTA, 100% record gone, so they only a point ahead of Reach Out, who they beat, but that point can so easily be caught. And then you've got Bow in third place, who weren't in action because they were in the Cup. And then Stepney B, debut season last year, actually crawling up the table, looking like someone that can trouble them. I think there's no one better to talk about Stepney B than Tarek. I mean, you were at the game yesterday, weren't you?
Yes, I was. If it weren't for kind of personal reasons, I would have been playing myself. But yeah, I watched it yesterday, and it really is one of those games where I felt like you began to see some of the players really come of age. And there's a few I want to single out here. You know, right in the middle of the park, we've got a young lad called Moinul, who, you know, was absolutely phenomenal yesterday, throwing himself about in the mud and, you know, getting stuck in and really showing that kind of passion and grit you expect of a kind of anchoring midfielder. And then the captain, who I've kind of taken under my wings since I've arrived there. And that really is my role. You know, I'm kind of on gardening leave now. So
mentoring is probably where you're going on
Mentoring is,
yeah.
I'm a teacher by profession, so it kind of makes sense. And so I've gone over there along with Shadu as well from the A team. And we've both seen our role over there, not really about playing, more about kind of encouraging the young players to come along and try and give them some kind of advice and experience. And Mamun is one of those players who's come to me many a times and sort of sought that advice. And, you know, yesterday, the first half was quite easily the best performance I've literally ever seen him play. You know, his touches were fantastic, his kind of movement, his vision, his capacity to play a pass at the right time. It's wonderful when you see a player actually do more than you anticipated he could. And that was really, really great. But just all round the team, you know, at one point it was quite close. We got to 2-2 and, you know, the other team was putting up quite a fight, and you felt like, you know, it could go either way because we'd missed a few chances. And that's when, like what we were talking about earlier, when a team comes of age, you know, when you're leading and then they drag you back, have you got the character? Because it's not just about football. It's not just about skill. It's not even just about stamina. It's about character. And I think yesterday's game really showed that some of these younger boys, even when I'm not on the pitch, when Shadu's not on the pitch, though he was yesterday, they do have that character.
I think what helps is because last season they didn't win many games, especially in the first half. But what was nice to see in every week, they were still there, giving 100%, arriving at each game and learning. And I think because they learned so much last season, this season they're actually applying it to the game, saying, you know what, we can achieve, we can do this, we've got a bit of experience. And each year they learn, the more they learn, I think they'll be more successful. And it's really, really nice to see a youth team being quite successful in the league.
No, I mean, it certainly is. I mean, the way I look at it, it's a really telling question I've got for you, Tarek. I mean, you guys set the bar so high. I mean, the generation that came from sort of the early 2000s set the bar really high. Now, I'm just thinking, for these lads, last year, there's no denying that pressure was on their shoulders, and it showed. I mean, so this year, I can see that you guys have actually come back and you're now mentoring them. I mean, how you found it? Are you actually noticing? Because, I don't know, are you noticing them actually accepting that they're Stepney and they need to meet this high expectation?
Of course, yeah, and like you, I do feel a little bit sorry for some of them because they do feel that pressure of, you know, what have the teams before us achieved. And of course, we had that period where we didn't go about developing the kind of youth and the kind of academies that you might anticipate behind our very successful A team. And sometimes that kind of hid a lot of what was not happening below us. And the teams that we did develop, soon enough, a lot of the players wanted first-team football, and you know, spread out across the league, you'll find people who, at one point or another, were kind of understudies to myself and other players, but clearly weren't going to make the breakthrough, and they went on elsewhere. Now, these guys have come on several years later, but they still do feel that pressure because they've only got to look at the stats, and they'll see, you know, where our stats are, how many trophies we've won. But certainly this year, I feel like they've really appreciated having myself, Shadu, and a few of the other senior players who pop along, have a conversation with them. Mujib's over there as well, you know, the ex-manager of the A team. And I think they really appreciate that. And they really do genuinely look up to us. And they respect the fact that we have, albeit amateur football, we have achieved, you know, and we've done very well. And they do take that on board. And you can see the ones who implement it have come on leaps and bounds in the space of only a few months.
So just to add on that, I think it's nice to see in the recent years, especially last 2-3 years, likes of Stepney, Beaumont, Bromley, even St Catherine's, they've got the youth, they're focusing on the youth, because whereas before we primarily focused on the main team, and that was it. And we hoped a young superstar would come in and go straight to the main team. Whereas now, all these established teams like Stepney, Beaumont and Bromley are looking at youth structure, youth team, and developing, giving them a chance, and then saying, look, it's not about the result, go and play, learn the skills. It's nice to see it. If you look at Division 1 and 2, there are a lot of youth teams, and they're all 18, 19, 20, which is very nice to see, because a lot of players would not get a chance and had there not been a youth team. So it's really nice to see the league providing the opportunity for these established clubs to provide a youth team to participate in the Sunday league.
And I think likewise the league really appreciates that we're seeing not one team by one name. The name is coming up twice. There's an A team, there's a B team, there's a youth team. So that's brilliant. I don't want to forget the Veterans League, so if I just quickly take you to the screen and show you the Veterans results. So in the Premier Division of the Veterans, we had London Tigers beat Abahani 4-0. Sire Vets beat St Catherine's Vets 1-0. Sorry, they drew 1-0. I completely misread that. Tower Hamlets lost 3-0 to Beaumont Masters. And in the first division of the Veterans, we had Redbridge lose against Weavers 2-0. Riverside Vets and Mostyn, two of our debutants, drawing 1-0. And Stepney Legends beating Bondu Vets 4-1. I think we've got plenty to speak about on the Vets. What I'm going to do before I go into the first division, I think we'll talk about in the second segment. Let Tariq tell us about the generation that's coming through Stepney. Rash, can you just cover sort of what happened in the Premier Division of the Vets? First
of all, there was much anticipation about the Vets League. We've been waiting for the last 4 to 5 weeks. It was exciting to see everyone back in the scene last Thursday. The atmosphere was brilliant, and there's a lot of new teams, a lot of new players. So I think it's nice to see the Vets League back in action. London Tigers won 4-0 against Abahani. Abahani, I think, they made a lot of changes. The flow wasn't right, the balance wasn't right. They struggled during the game. It wasn't the Abahani we saw last 2 seasons.
But last year they were the ones to concede the fewest goals, weren't they?
Yeah, but
Rash, what we're going to do, we're going to go for a quick break because we've got the Vets League to talk about so much more on those results. So when we get back, we'll finish that off, and then we've still got the Interleague Championship to talk about. Again, Stepney involvement here, so I need some more words out of Tariq. So let's go for a quick break, and I'll see you guys in a moment.
আপনারা দেখছেন ILFL Soccer Night.